can see we've got another okra. I have harvested lots off of both of those. And you will see soon all the bottles reappear in here for my whole bottle farm. And I'm doing an extension of that this year. All we've got left over here, some things just as we lost water, I planted out. And what I decided I didn't want to plant out are, there's 3 bags here of onions. I want to try keeping them growing in here, which thank goodness I did, because as I say, I lost all the other onions. And then growing in these cat food bags, obviously you just need a tiny bit of water and they all survive. Some people say I put too much in one area, like too much in one bag, but look, they've all survived beautifully, whereas things planted out did not. And then this one, oh no, these are right, I think these are leeks, and this one is an onion. You can tell by the stems. Onions, I've just watered so you can see, onions have one main bit coming up, and leeks do divisions, so they have lots of bits coming from one. That's how you can tell the difference. I apologise. The 3 bags are leeks and this 1 bag is onion. I also find onion stems are normally a darker green, but that might depend on variety. And then all we've got left in this one, because I went to take out the tool, the onions were this side, so I moved them. This has always grown every year. Chilli plant, that might go somewhere else next year. And carrots. The first wave of carrots all died, but another lot popped up, so I will harvest those. We still have fig trees to give away, so anyone in Cyprus wants fig trees, there's 5 here. Something I battled to save was this growing, it's like a raspberry, but it's not a raspberry, it's some red berry, it's not a mulberry. Anyway, it's some red raspberry type thing. It's a climber, so obviously we paid for that, so I wanted to make sure that survived, and that's doing really well. And I'm glad now I planted that in a tub and not in the ground, because I couldn't think where to plant it to climb. We have my ginger. This was the first ginger I ever planted. This is doing really well. I did dig a little bit up to see how it was doing, and it's doing really well in there, but don't be in a hurry to dig it up and it will get bigger. My only cutting that survived, because again no water, I wasn't going to risk all the cuttings when I'd vegetable produce to save, so we had food. This is a yellow plum, and I think this one survived because he was quite strong, whereas the others were new cuttings. But you will see I'm fooling myself by still watering what were the stronger ones and the rock rose, hoping they might come again in spring, but I doubt it. This is my nut tree that you have to keep mulched, and then it hopefully re-leaves. This is a pomelo. Now it's the last one I've got surviving, so I wanted to save that. As I say, you've got to make your choices, and these are more chives. This area, well, I've always said this seems to hold the water very well, so that is peppers and asparagus and some different chilies, so that's doing really well. So this is doing well. Again, it's something I chose to keep growing because it's a bulk of food, so I've harvested a lot of that. It just bulks our meals up, so that was important to save. And as you can see, there's a lot in one big pot. My herb garden, I had to move a lot of it under the patio a bit more to keep the sun off of it. We have some chives coming to the end. I took cuttings of rosemary, So obviously I wanted to keep those because I only had that one big rosemary plant, so I really worked on keeping the rosemary cuttings going. So we have more there, 2 more there. Lots of chives. As I've said, I eat chives. So we have a whole forest of chives. This is how they start to go into flower, and they open up into a nice purple flower. That's when you want to pick them as they start to die off. Cut them, hang them upside down in a jar on a bit of bamboo or small rod, and then the seeds would just drop and you haven't got to collect them. There's a random, I don't know if that's a chili or pepper, but random in there. More chives, another Malabar spinach here, growing up the wall nicely, and some chard that was just random in there. This is my oregano, or oregano as some of you call it, and that, as you can see, it did die back, but we've got new green bits. We've got another rosemary there. My thyme, now that looked like it was dying back a bit, but I did have it in a pot container and I realised it was sitting in the water, so that could have been the issue there. So it's drying out now. More basil. This is quite near my kitchen. I can just walk through a corridor, so I keep this to pick for that. Yesterday, this again was sitting in a different pot and I realised it was sitting in water, so I pulled the pot out and there were huge roots hanging down. So I've repotted it and just put it in this container. It's an old casserole thing that we actually got from the dump. Always makes good bases for pots. And I think this is doing well. I'm not sure about how I'm going to harvest this. So if any of you can give me tips on harvesting the seeds to grow more lavender, that's what I want to do with it. I want to harvest more seeds to grow. I've never had success growing lavender. We bought this one and the other one, and so far this one's surviving, but as you can see, this seems to be different from the other lavender. I know you've got blue lavender and like a grey lavender and a purpley lavender, so I know there are different. But this is doing really well. As I say, tell me how and when to harvest the seeds. I'm just guessing it's the same as any other plant. I managed to save this plant, which is called a snake plant, but as I've said before, if you look up snake plant, this is not what you see on YouTube. You see what we actually call mother-in-law's tongue, but they're calling that snake plant on YouTube. But this is a snake plant, and this is the one that has little beautiful purple flowers on, think like lavender almost, but it looks like the shape of a bee. When they come out, and this is one of the best plants for mosquitoes, flies and other bugs, hence why I keep it on the patio. Now I did cuttings of it. These ones survived. This was something else I chose to survive, keep alive, because obviously we want more of these to place round. I did take more cuttings, they all died off, but recently I've done 2 more cuttings, so we'll see how they go. Then the other thing, funnily enough, I kept alive was cat grass. Now a lot of people think, they sit on my patio and they think I've just got a pot that I've let grass grow in and it needs weeding, but this is the cat grass for the cats when they're on the patio. The only other thing on the patio is another basil. Again, we've put it, this is between our hammock, one of our 2 hammocks on the patio, and our chairs, and this stops a lot of bugs pestering us when we're sitting here. There was mint there, but that's going to seed right now. Let's check out the hugelkultur to see what survived with no water for a couple of months. I did harvest some sweet corn just before the no water situation, so I did get five ears of corn, so at least there was something. So every bed was full of produce. I'll tell you which ones weren't, and then you can just see for yourself. And strangely enough, there was a random zucchini grew at the side here. There was nothing in this bed apart from this old cabbage. So nothing lost there. This was full of tomato plants, and I lost those all. All of those were lost. This bed was full of zucchinis, and that's not looking that healthy. So a whole bed of zucchini plants was lost. This was broccoli. This was a whole bed of broccoli. Obviously it's going to seed now, but not a lot there. This was carrots and chard. Nothing harvested from there. This was 3 chilli plants. This seems to be the only one that's still alive. I know the fruits have died off, but that can drop for seed. There were 3 along here, and this was where my loofahs were growing. They were lost. Another bed, this was full of another type of zucchini, the whole bed full of zucchini. And all we've got now, we've got a tiny bit of green trying to hang on. It's all been watered this morning, so, and that's not looking healthy either, but definitely won't get any produce now. So all zucchini lost. And as I said, that was our main food source. So we haven't harvested anything from this area. This was full of lettuce. Now I did harvest a lot of lettuce. We have some younger ones here that I'm hoping will drop some seed for next year. So I did get lots of lettuce. I've got no lettuce left this year for now, but I did do a lot of lettuce dinners. This is one of 2 beds of eggplant or aubergine. I haven't harvested from these, but this bed was full, but as you can see, all we've got left are these 2. So obviously I was focusing on very specific areas, working on keeping the strongest. This is another bed of aubergines or eggplants, and again you can see from this side, this is the strongest side. So we have some, but again no produce. This, I can't even remember what this bed is. You'll have to go back and look at old ones, but that all went a long time ago, so I can't even remember what was in that one. And then again, tomatoes. I did harvest some tomatoes from here, so we did get some, but not as many as I should have had. This was a whole bed full of tomato plants. Then we have mostly peppers. Again, this was absolutely full of pepper plants, and I've just got a few I'm trying to still save. And this is hugelkultur, which is the best way to try and keep plants either from the cold and or from the heat. There's a tiny little one there. That must have popped up from a pepper that didn't quite mature and broke off and went to seed. So you can see how much we've lost here of peppers, hence why I haven't harvested peppers to put in the freezer this year. I can't remember if this had anything or not, but there's certainly nothing in there now. And as I say, these were absolutely full, literally every bed. This I tried my best to save, so this has done well. And these are huge red chilies. and that's because I had none of those seeds left, so I needed to make sure we get some to reproduce. So again, I water them, but as soon as I water them, they look like they need water. There are little buds on them. They are just starting. And then again, we have more peppers here, and I got mixed up what they are. I've got a feeling this might be yellow ones, yellow pointy icicle peppers. But it got to a stage when we lost the water, I was just quickly planting stuff out. And you're asking, why did you do that? Well, obviously I thought just water the beds in this area and everything would survive, but that didn't work. And then more peppers here. These are doing much better. I'm only thinking these possibly were the strongest, biggest ones that were already planted out. So as I always say, don't rush to plant things out, particularly peppers. Let them get really big and strong. Don't be in a rush to plant peppers out. This one, I can't remember if there was anything in or not. Oh yes, there was. This one was yellow melons. Lost all those. Yellow melons. So they didn't have anything of those. This was my beans, which I'd harvested beans and the bean pods. So they weren't really lost, if you like. They were finishing anyway. Again, another broccoli bed. This was absolutely full of broccoli, new broccoli. All that back corner was new broccoli. So I lost a lot there. Oriental spinach, which I've never grown before. This one I'm doing my best to save. And there were two more. There was one there and one there. So I had three of those, so always better to save one than all. And then the last bed, this is doing really well, but again I've worked on this because, you know, I said I was getting rid of the eggplants and aubergine plants on the other raised beds. So these actually were the last of my aubergine or eggplant seeds, and I was like, I don't know, do I want to even grow them again, because they need watering every day. And I was like, well, let's just throw all the seeds. And this is what's happened. Now there is flowers and there is fruit on these. And yes, aubergine is a fruit. And yes, aubergine is a fruit. It's not a vegetable. And let me show you one of the flowers. So there's one of the flowers. And I've just seen there's another aubergine fruit here. Let's go the other side. Oh yes, there's another aubergine fruit here. There's another flower that's about to be a fruit. And there's another fruit